Okay, now today we're going to change this thing up just a little bit. We'll be modifying this modified to finish up the wrap. You can't see it, but there's a few bubbles right in here, and we'll get those taken out. We'll get that hood pin trim piece put on, and we've got to get that secured. You see how the nose piece tends to come up? We're going to end up wrapping a piece of solid rolled stock around the front pipe, which is going to be right here. We're just going to wrap it around and then bring it out in front of that pipe, probably an inch or two. We'll do one on this side, just to your left of the steering box, and then one over there on the right side, in between this support bar and the frame and the stub. And that'll allow us to have at least a weldable surface for a bracket or just a piece of flat steel to go up and around, and it'll hook on the bottom of this nose piece right here where this lip is at. It'll go right along the underneath side of that. That'll keep that lip from coming up and going back down. As far as the wrap goes, I'd like to show you a little touch that I've done here. A lot of people won't do this on the wraps, but you can see when you put your wrap on, tuck it around the leading edge there. Just roll it over and give yourself a 1/4 inch, maybe a 1/2 inch. And down here on this end, I had a whole lot left, so I just rolled it under and stuck it. Doing that allows your wrap to hold a lot better onto your skin. It won't tend to peel off. On this hood, I don't know that you can see it, but there's a shiny spot right here. This wrap that got put on the hood has been cut along the leading edge. You can probably see it right here. It didn't stick, and see that will eventually peel up and start to peel away. If you're going to keep this wrap on for any length of time, you really have to tuck it under and get some adhesion on the underneath side. Just kind of roll it around that edge, and that will help out a lot. It'll make your wrap last a lot longer if you're not going to be like me and go out and tear the hell out of it. Of course, we've got a piece of chicken wire, or this is actually rabbit cage wire. That's going to keep that radiator from getting too awful much mud in it, because it's a pain for anybody who's been out there any length of time. Even if you got a radiator cone, they're a nightmare to clean. So let's get this nose piece back on. We'll finish drilling this cover on here. Throw it on like that. We'll put the cover piece. Well, before we do that, we're going to take this bubble out. There's bubbles right in the curve here of the nose piece. Dustin built this nose for me because the other one was just destroyed. But whenever you're doing a wrap or working on vinyl of any sort, you got to have a heat gun. I'll drop it and break it. But we take the heat gun there. If it's hot outside, like really hot, then you really don't need one. But we're going to need one because it's about 35 degrees today. And you can just put it on low. It's not going to be a big deal. But we're just going to heat this crease up, and I'm going to roll it in with my finger. And I'll just keep working it back and forth. There's another one right there. And it'll stretch the vinyl out just a little bit because it's got a lot of plasticity when it warms up. And once we heat it up, I'll run my finger along it, and it'll actually stretch out and form into that crease. It looks like we've got several spots along this crease because every time, the cold weather hits, You get it put on and it's nice and warm in the shop. And then it sits overnight and it freezes to death out here, and that vinyl will shrink up and you'll end up with bubbles on your crease. So let's get this warmed up here real quick and roll it down. And as soon as I hit it with the heat gun, it just falls into place. I'm going to run my finger along it anyway, just to get good adhesion. But it's already rolled into place there. Get that bubble out. Oh, we got a wrinkle there. Not a big deal. Let me just push that air bubble all the way to the edge. Keep that edge up just a little bit more. You don't want to get it too hot because it'll just melt away, like kind of like putting a piece of plastic in an oven or a vinyl record. You ever put a record in an oven, it really turns sour fast. You can straighten some of the old ones out. If you leave your records out in the sun and they get all warped and nasty looking, you can sometimes throw them in the oven and it'll flatten them out. That's kind of the same concept here, except it hasn't been awfully hot and it hasn't warped. Once it sticks, though, it's a done deal. Got some air bubbles in there. It's the air bubbles that are a pain in the butt, because once it grows and you get an air bubble, it's going to wrinkle. But it's not a big deal. That air bubble came out. That one didn't, because it grew too much. Maybe I'm putting a little too much heat on it. That looks pretty good there. I'll back off on the heat just a little bit. Just warming up a little. That'll keep it from stretching. The wraps have some holes poked in them to release the air. And if you put the heat on them, it will melt those holes shut, and then you end up with a wrinkle for sure. And then I'll run some heat across the whole thing. Make sure everything's out. Put a little heat on these rivet spots here, and that vinyl will shrink right up around that rivet. I don't know if you can see it, but it is just absolutely conformed to the rivet. And heating it up helps it stick to the rivet even better as well. I'll show you when I'm done here in just a second the difference from that side to this side. And you'll see what a major difference just a little bit of heat makes. That's about got it there. I'll get this thing lined up here and I'll show you. Okay, this is after. I don't know if you can see that, but that is absolutely conformed to the rivet. Over here on this side, this is what we've got over here. Let me see if I can get a good shot of it. There's one right there. Maybe this one down here you can see the air bubble. There it is. You see the big bubble? It's not really tight. It's just there's a pocket of air around it, and that'll come loose, and it won't ever be right. All right, let me get our camera lined up back here. That'll do it. Let me heat these other two up real quick here, and we'll move on. And it only takes a few seconds. You can pick up a heat gun, $25 at the hardware store. Go to Harbor Freight and get it on clearance for like $15, and it's not a bad deal. And it makes a world of difference, really. It'll make this thing hold on here for quite a while. Of course, probably have to replace this nose after next year anyway, as bad as I am. I guess that's the price you have to pay for being the worst driver out there. Okay, so we've got that. That's all done. I'm going to put these rivets in. Got one more little spot here I want to heat up. Another air bubble. I hate wrinkles, I hate air bubbles. It's just the way it is sometimes. Makes a big difference too. Something you want to do before you put these wraps on is shoot some brake clean on that skin, and just take a, I got one around here somewhere. Just take a terry cloth or even a diaper. You spray that brake clean on there and you wipe it off, and it eliminates all your contaminants that's on the skin that you're putting on that you want to adhere to. It'll stick, and it'll stick really well. My hood's got a lot of little dots on it here. I mean, it's nothing serious, nothing major, but it makes a serious difference to me anyway, because I'm so damn picky, I guess. But don't be scared to put some brake clean on there. Just make sure it's all dried out, and don't put any brake clean on your vinyl, because it'll melt your vinyl. It's not very compatible. So we're going to move on to this guy here. I got my drill ready here with a bit. We use the smaller rivets with the stud pin kits because they've got the smaller holes in them. I hate small rivets because they stick in the gun. So anytime you're putting the smaller rivets on, you want to have a hammer handy and a tail end off of your rivet to help unclog the gun. Something you also want to have. Let me go get it and I'll show it to you. This is the least expensive way to do it. You just go to Orscheln's or a farm store and get some Easy Glide graphite powder. Basically, it's the same stuff you put in your door locks, that dry graphite powder. It's just wonderful stuff. And you put it in the tip of your rivet gun. Just take the tip off and you put it in there, and that'll help slide it around. And what I do is dump some in the bag of rivets and then shake it up, and that'll help the rivets slide through the gun a little better. I mean, you do want a grip. It's not gonna take away from the grip of the rivet gun, but it'll help slide them. It'll help eject the rivets when you're done with them. Let me drill this hole here real quick. Don't go drilling all your holes at the same time. Just do one at a time. Well, the first two anyway. Once you get the first two in, you're locked in, and it won't move around on you. Let's see if we can do this without clogging up this silly rivet gun. Well, we can at least pull it out. There. Get our second hole drilled and we'll be on our way. Another thing when you're putting your rivets on, these things always have a little container here on the back side. Sometimes they're a pain in the ass, sometimes they're not, whatever. But just whatever you do, pick up your spent nail portions of your rivets, because they'll end up in your tires or even end up in the control arms of your race car, and you spit them out on the track, and next thing you know, somebody's got a flat tire. Most likely it'll be you. So don't forget that. It's very important. So there you have it. Pick up what's left of our rivets. That was the easy part. Make sure our hood pins go in. That one looks a little high, plus I think it's coming loose. You can adjust the pin. You can run it up and down. We probably do that real quick. I'll have to re-weld that tab on there anyway. Just everything's held together. This one's going to have to come up. It fits a little snug in there. And you can manipulate them. You can bend them over and around to get them to fit better, but we just hold these things together with bubble gum and tape because they're going to get tore up. Anyway, this one needs to go that way. I'll make a little minor adjustment here. There, I heard it. I think I want to bring that one up. Let's see if this one's going to break. Ooh. Yeah, not so good. I'm going to have to clean that off and melt it in a bit. We want this one to go down though. Let me get my wrench. I'm going to do like a 3/4. Okay, screwdriver. I think we said down, didn't we? There's only so far to go down before it hits that bottom mounting nut. Probably where we want it. What do we got here? That thing is not healthy. I don't like it. It's not enough. Probably bring it down all the way and just leave it. How far we got left to go here? Quite a way. Wow. More than what I thought. Of course, every time you weld on it, it's going to move around. When it cools down, that weld will move around. I guarantee it. Okay, I'm going to lock that down in a second. I might have to make a little tweak to it once I get it locked down. I'm really afraid to break that tab off because it's not secured well enough. Yeah. Oh, she's ready to fall off. Wonderful. All right. Yeah, that ought to work okay. I'm not going to complain too much. I'm going to clean the other one up a little bit. Then we'll move on to this mess we got going on down here with our nose. That's okay. I can live with that. Get that down, but we'll do that later. Alright, roll stock. We got our roll stock and our welder set up here, and we'll get right back into it.